In my hand here is a Kvachabad that just recently published, a recent Kvachabad. And there's an interview with my Mechutin, Shalom Spalter, Rosh Yeshiva in Morristown, Yossi's father, who I know very well from the years that he was a shliach to Australia, sent in Tovshlam in Gimel 1973 for 2 years. So I'm reading the story here, his interview, and there's some amazing things I want to share with you. First, he tells his whole story. It's critical that his Zayd, I'm going to show you a picture tomorrow, I didn't bring it, but his Zayd, Moishe Gershon, was a big Rav, big Talmud Chacham, Polish Chassid, actually originally from Russia, but then they fled. They left Russia after the Gzeiros on Chinuch, under the Tsar still, and then moved to Poland, to a place called Sonik. It was called the Sonik Rav. They survived the war, settled eventually even in Crown Heights. I'll tell you a story with his Zayde, the Sonik Rav, Moishe Gershon, and the Rebbe, Meride Kemaise. But Akoponim, so how did they end up being Lubavitch? Because they were in Tashkent or in Samarkand, but when the war broke out, so they fled to Russia's interior, as many did, and that's where they met the Lubavitches. No, actually, no. They met. No. It wasn't during the war. It was in the DP camps. The DP after the war. That Moishe Gershon sent his children to the Lubavitch yeshiva that they made there because the chinuch where he wasn't to his standard. They wanted a Chassidic chinuch, and that's how they got it. That's how Shalom Spalter's father, Hishmelech, became a Lubavitcher. I should just tell you, he was a chazan in about Tefillin 770. He's daven Shachris, Yom Neroim. Year round, they didn't daven there on the Yom Neroim. And I remember his davening still rings in my ears till this day. Very gishmak about Tefillah. But here's an amazing thing. First, I wanted to share with you 2 things, and more tomorrow. That when the Rebbe came out, the context of this is amazing. This is 1958. 1958, the Rebbe came out Ufaratzta. That's when that's Ufaratzta started, and they composed the Nigun at Yisrael Ufaratzta because it's 1958, friends. This is just a few years after the war. I mean, the whole world, the Jewish world, was still broken and depressed, and survival was a great achievement. And the whole attitude was to hunker down and create enclaves of Yiddishkeit and Torah, whether it's the Kollel of the Misnagdim or the Williamsburgs and the Skver of the Chassidim. And the Rebbe starting, it's mind-boggling. The Rebbe started right away in 1951, Bemis. The first Maimer. But, gaining momentum. To change the mindset of the Chassidim, the Lubavitch, Al-Faratzta, Simcha. I mean, we need to begin to appreciate the revolution, what the Rebbe did, and the crematoriums are still warm. It's 1958, 51, 58. And I was talking about conquering the world and revolution. So I'm is blown away here. He says that his father, he's a Holocaust survivor, he's a Polish Yid. Became as a Bacher, okay? As a Bacher, he was in the DP camp in Lubavitch and moved to Crown Heights. And he says his father wrote into the Rebbe, it did other younger light. The Rebbe will send them, 1958. How much loved, how they loved the Rebbe. He says, hey, completely. The language, going out to shlichus, can't begin to describe how the. Just to me, it just says how much they loved the Rebbe. We'll go. And he says others did also of his genre. And the Rebbe answered them, for sure you wrote, we had permission from your wife. Maybe they didn't, I don't know. But then he said, your shlichus is here, each one in their way, they should be involved in tzach, which he was. But I'm blown away. Then another occasion, this is something also Moishe. So in Yechidus, beautiful stories here. So in Yechidus, so this is Hirsch Melech telling Sholem, my Mechuten, Yossi Spalter's grandfather, stories with him. So in Yechidus, so like Chassidim, he would write, he told that Rebbe wrote down his whole Seder Hayoim, what he does in detail. So on one occasion he wrote to the Rebbe Seder Alimba, this is the early years, and he wrote that he learns very morning Chassidus, Mikveh Chassidus, Nigla. He was a big Talmud Chacham himself. As his Seder was, as the grandson, Shalom is. And he writes, he learns the Kutei Torah. Every morning he learns the Kutei Torah. So the Rebbe asked him, and what's with learning general Chassidus? General Chassidus. So my father answers, says Shalom, that the little time that he has, he wants to dedicate to learn Chassidus Chabad. When he said that, the Rebbe's face became very serious, and the Rebbe said to him, when you come to Chabad, we have to add on what was before, and not Chas Shalom take away. The Rebbe told him, Shabbos you learn Chassidus Chabad, but the whole week you should learn Noam Elimelech, Elimelech Lizensk, the three Svarim, Kedushas Levi from the Berditchever, and Mordechai Shemesh. Mordechai Shemesh was written much later. I just looked him up. He was like a Talmud of the Melech Lizensk. Kleinem is Kalman Halevi Epstein. He wrote a famous sefer, and it's a scholarly sefer relative to Polish Chassidus. You should learn that. So that's a big lesson right there. Don't abandon your past. You bring it in. I'm just noting, and I could be wrong here, that these three Svarim, none of these started a dynasty, really. Not the Berditchever, I mean, they all had Talmidim that started, but there's not in the Elimelech. Although he had Talmidim, they started their own dynasties, but he's named in, and the Mordechai Shemesh also. He instructed, I just read his history, he said he didn't want an oil put over his. He was a big Mevitzer, tremendous Isnagdas to the Mordechai Shemesh. In Kharkov, they banned his Svarim. This is recent, the 1800s. It's recent, tremendous in Poland. But he said, I see his grave said he didn't want an oil, just want the Machmish Fakir Rebbe, although he was one of the greatest exponents of Chassidus. Some, these three Svarim. But that's not the point. The main point here is that we bring and elevate everything in Yiddishkeit, Nara and Nara Pashta, each one has its path. And Chassidus didn't come along to negate, but to illuminate and to unite and to elevate. More wonderful stories, Be'ezer Hashem, in the days to come. Oy Yidden, Dikir is enzep in the Rebbe Dola Mata, taken from Yad Mamish, who you go